have weird dreams. So I thought I would share them with you and make dream vlogs, like a dream journal, but with vlogs. So I will just start by just telling you the dream I had last night, which was kind of weird. So it started, I had an Ant-Man suit. And for those of you who have not seen or do not know about Ant-Man, Ant-Man is a superhero and he has this suit where he can push a button and it shrinks him down to the size of an ant. So he gets really tiny, and that's his superpower. And I had a suit that could do that. So I was using this suit and my ability to shrink down tiny to sneak onto rides at the fair. And then there was other superheroes that were chasing me, and I was running from them, obviously, because they were chasing me. And when they caught me, instead of doing something that you would normally do when you catch somebody you're chasing, we went to a Halloween party. And we were, trying on costumes and doing Halloween things. There was like a tiger costume and a clown costume and a cat costume, different costumes, and superheroes were there, and some of my friends were there, and my sister was there. I don't know why they were all at a superhero party, but they were. And somebody stole my Ant-Man gloves, and the gloves were the part that had the little button on them that you could push and shrink down to ant size. So I couldn't shrink down to ant size anymore, and I was really sad, and I was like, who stole my gloves? And this girl was like, he stole your gloves. And I was like, he did. And so she decided she would teach him a lesson about how terrible he was. And so she told him about all the horrible things he'd done in his life and how he was suffocating this girl. And I don't know why nobody noticed. There was this girl in there and he was suffocating her. And so she made him feel really bad about it, and he felt horrible, and she taught him a lesson. But then she decided that wasn't good enough, and she flew everybody outside, and we were all just flying, hovering in this mass of people in the sky. And she revealed that he was suffocating this girl and showed it to everybody. And everybody was like, wow, you're blowing this out of proportion, you're such a jerk. But really he was suffocating a girl. But he had already learned his lesson, and that was that. So then I don't remember for a bit what happened in my dream, and it changed a lot while I don't remember. So I don't know how this came about happening. But then there was this white pollen everywhere, and it was toxic. And if you breathed it in, you would die. So there were people dying everywhere, and my camera just did a thing. Anyway, there was white pollen everywhere. It was toxic. People were breathing it in and dying. I was trying to avoid it, obviously. I was trying not to go anywhere where it was. And other people were avoiding it, and this guy ran up to this car, and the person in the car was like, are you married to this really rich lady? And he was like, yes, even though he wasn't. So because he said he was, they flew them away to America, where he would be safe, because all this was happening in Japan. And then I was on my own, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna die because of the pollen. But I was trying to avoid it, and then there were these red lasers, and they would evaporate people out of places where people had died because of the pollen. But uh, they would evaporate anybody, whether they were alive or dead, if they were in that area. So you had to try to avoid it, and it was scary. But there was like, I don't know, it was scary. And I was trying to avoid that with a few other people. And we ran and we hid in this garden where there wasn't any pollen, because we found this place with no pollen, so we hid there. But then we saw in the garden there were these people spreading giant snowflakes around, and this is what was causing the pollen. So these people were making toxic pollen on purpose, and we were like, and it was very scary. And so we were hiding, but they found us. And we ran. We ran, but they were throwing the pollen at us, and the pollen was getting all in our way, so we couldn't go anywhere because it was blocking our paths. And then this girl started like pole vaulting, and everywhere she would pole vault, the pollen would like go away from there. And then I was that girl, and I was pole vaulting and making the pollen go away, and so I was saving the day. And, well, kind of, because there was still pollen, it just wasn't everywhere anymore, so I wasn't really saving the day, but I was clearing it out of some places. And I did that all over the country and lots of places until I was so tired that I passed out. And then when I woke up, then I was in this place with flowers everywhere and no pollen. And it was like a sanctuary place away from the pollen, and it was in California. And pollen had gotten everywhere over all different countries, and it was all over America except in this one place in California. And there was nature everywhere as far as you could go in any direction. And there was, I don't know, there was just a lot of nature. And then there was this guy. Oh, right, the place that I was with no pollen, it was made by the guy who lied and said he was the lady's wife, and they sent him to America. That guy made this place. And there was this guy there who claimed to be his boyfriend from the 3rd grade, but he didn't know him because the guy was the person who was actually married to the lady's boyfriend from the 3rd grade. And so the guy who lied and said he was married to her didn't know this guy, but he pretended to because he was pretending to be the guy. And then we were in this place within the sanctuary, like a bar kind of place. And there was a guy making margaritas, and he was like, maybe they'll even be green, which is weird because I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be green. But he was like, maybe they'll be green. And we were like, okay. And then he was like playing the guitar and singing. But this was the future, and microphones were like outdated and old. So it was like a weird big deal that he had a microphone. And it didn't work very well because it was really old, but he was using it anyway. And he had eyes drawn all over him. And then we started like crowd surfing. And when we crowd surfed, we got eyes drawn all over us. Like, they just appeared there though. And there was this neon green, powdery, not pollen, it wasn't toxic, but it was just this powder, and it was all over us, and there were eyes all over us. And it was really weird. The end.